When you recruit a new team member, what's your priority? Is it to focus on tasks by explaining the first year's objective to him or her, or do you spend time understanding his strengths and interests so you can give him tasks that he will enjoy? No one leadership style is best for all situations, but it's useful to understand what your natural approach is so you can develop skills that you may be missing. It's unwise to neglect either task or people, but equally, a compromise between the two approaches will likely result in only average team performance because you neither meet people's needs nor inspire excellent performance. This video will look at that topic, managerial grade, a popular framework for thinking about a leader's task versus person orientation. Consider you are facing a new task. It could be finding a new team member or developing a new project. What would your priority be? To achieve the results as effectively as possible with a focus on the task, or would you start organizing things based on your team and interest? Your answer to the question can tell quite a bit about your management style and approach to solving managerial problems. Leadership theories come in many shapes and sizes, but the managerial grid model is one popular model that is built around the two themes suggested in the question. The one is task orientation and the second is people focused approach. Also known as the managerial grid or leadership grid, it was developed in the early 1960s by management theorist Robert Blake and Jane Mountain. The managerial grid model helps the managers to analyze their leadership styles through a technique which is known as grid training. It plots a manager's or leader's degree of task-centeredness versus person-centeredness and identifies 5 different combinations of the two and the leadership styles they produce. The Black-Moulton managerial grid is based on two behavioral dimensions. One is concern for production, that is task-oriented. A concern for production means that managers direct subordinates towards goals. Managers with this style typically give instructions, spend time planning, emphasize deadlines, and provide explicit schedules of work activities. They simply want to get the job done. The second is concern for people, that is relationship oriented. A concern for people means that managers are mindful of subordinates, respect their ideas and feelings, establish mutual trust. These managers are friendly, provide open communication, develop teamwork, and are oriented towards their subordinates' welfare. This slide shows the image which perfectly illustrates the grid model. As you can see, you have the horizontal axis for concern for production and the vertical axis for concern for people. Depending on where you fall in the scale, you would represent one of the 5 basic management styles. Typical styles of management according to the grid are 1:1, that is impoverished, that is minimum management and minimum leadership and minimum requirements for the task. Second is 1:9, that is country club. It shows high concern on people and interpersonal relationships, minimum focus on the task. The next is 5:5, that is middle of the road. It means middle level of focus on relationships and focus on the task satisfactorily. Next is 9:1, that means authority compliance. That means the minimum respect for people, high requirements for the task. And the last is 9:9, which is team. The highest concern on people and highest concern on relationship and also highest concern on the task. Originally, the variant 9:9 was considered to be the best time, but later a view prevailed that for different It simply is an inefficient way to deal or lead, since your focus is not really on anything. You would need to find some inspiration to focus your attention as a manager. Under the indifferent management style, organizations cannot expect much. You won't get things done since you aren't focused on effectiveness and productivity, but at the same time, your team will suffer from lack of organization and satisfaction. You won't feel happy at work when you don't have clear instructions and your personal interest or needs are not met. The results are inevitably disorganization, dissatisfaction, and disharmony. The next is authority compliance management, that is high results, low people, which is 9:1. The authority compliance management style, or it is also called as produce or perish style, implies that managers score high on concern for production and low on concern for people. People in this category believe that their team members are simply a means to an end. The team's needs are always secondary to its productivity. These types of managers usually believe that subordinates' needs are relatively unimportant. This type of manager is autocratic, has strict work rules, policies, and procedures, and can view punishment as an effective way of motivating team members. This approach can drive impressive production results at first, but low team morale and motivation will ultimately affect people's performance, and this type of leader will struggle to retain high performers. This style adheres to McGregor's theory X that states that employees generally have little ambition, avoid responsibilities, and dislike working and are mostly extrinsically motivated. In order to boost performance, managers try to make subordinates comply by using tangible rewards such as monetary bonuses. Managers may even use their coercive powers to punish subordinates if targets are not being met. Now this is middle of the road management, that is medium results and median people, that is 5:5. A middle of the road or status quo manager tries to balance results and people, but this strategy is not as effectively as it may sound. Managers that score medium on concern for production and medium on concern for people basically have this style. Through continual compromise, he fails to inspire high performance and also fails to meet people's needs fully. The result is that his team will likely deliver only mediocre performance. They attempt to balance between an organization's performance targets and the needs of the employees. This is essentially a compromising approach in which the manager tries to avoid conflict with subordinates whilst pushing for moderate production. Next is country club management, that is high people and low results, which is 1:9. Managers that score low on concern for production and high on concern for people are considered to have a country management style. The country club, also called as the accommodating style of manager, is most concerned about his or her team members' needs and feelings. As a consequence, the primary emphasis of country club managers is given to people rather than to work outputs. Managers with this style pay a lot of attention to the security, well-being, and harmony of the subordinates. The resulting work atmosphere is therefore usually quite friendly and easygoing but not very productive. What tends to be the result is a work environment that is very relaxed and fun, but where productivity suffers because there is a lack of direction and control. Individual subordinates that are more task focused might experience this management style as frustrating. They firmly believe that being accommodating to the needs of the subordinates will ultimately increase the performance, as everybody will be happy and contented. It is based on the assumption that as long as the subordinates are happy and secure, they will work hard. The next is team management, that is high production and high people. This can be indicated as 9:9. If managers score high on concern for production and high on concern for people, they can be labeled as having a team management style. According to Blake-Morton model, team management is the most effective leadership style. It reflects a leader who is passionate about his work and who does the best he can for the people he works with. This style is often considered to be the most effective and is recommended for managers because organization members work together to accomplish tasks and maintain good relationships. This approach relies heavily on making subordinates feel that they are constructive parts of the organization by encouraging teamwork and commitment, involving them in decision making, and showing respect and mutual trust. Team or sound managers commit to their organization goals and mission, motivate the people who report to them, and work hard to get people to stretch themselves to deliver great results. But at the same time, they are inspiring figures who look after their teams. Someone led by a team manager feels respected and empowered and is committed to achieving his or her goals. Team managers prioritize both the organization's production needs and their people's needs. They do this by making sure that their team members understand the organization's purpose and by involving them in determining production needs. When people are committed to and have a stake in the organization's success, their needs and production needs coincide. This creates an environment based on trust and respect, which leads to high satisfaction, motivation, and excellent results. This management style is largely in line with McGregor's theory Y that states that employees are intrinsically motivated, enjoy their work, and want to the work to the better of themselves without a direct reward in return. According to multiple subsequent research from Black and Morton, team management forms the basis for exercising sound leadership. Apart from this, Blake and his colleagues added more leadership styles after Morton's death in 1987, although neither appears on the grid itself for the reasons explained below. First is paternalistic management. A paternalistic manager will jump between the country club and produce a Paris style. This type of leader can be supportive and encouraging, but will also guard his or her own position, and paternalistic managers don't appreciate anyone questioning the way they think. The next is opportunistic management. This doesn't appear on the grid because this style can show up anywhere within it. Opportunistic managers place their own needs first, shifting around the grid to adopt whichever style will benefit them. They will manipulate and take advantage of others to get what they want. Now we come to applying the Black-Morton managerial grid. It is important to understand your management or leadership style so that you can then identify ways of reaching the target position of team manager. Step 1 consists of identifying your own managerial style. Step 2 consists of identifying the areas where you can improve upon and develop your leadership skills. And the step 3 consists of putting the grid in the context. The grid theory also breaks managerial behavior into 7 key behaviors. If you are using the model to analyze your own management style, then these 7 behaviors are crucial elements to consider. If you highlight this above 7 behaviors in your management, then you are off to a great start. According to the Blake and Morton model, these qualities or these behaviors are essentially the characteristics a team management style introduces and reinforces in your behavior. Now we come to the pros and the cons of the grid. So managerial grid model is a tool for understanding your management style as well as the difficulties and possibilities each style can have in terms of employee motivation and achieving results. So what are the benefits of the model? It goes without saying that managerial grid is a great tool for analyzing yours or someone else's managerial style. You can use it to identify the type of manager you currently are as well as the kind of manager you might aspire to become. By looking at the grid and thinking about your own placement, you do need to take a deeper look at your own behavior. The grid makes you think about your decision making as a manager. What would you do in certain situations? Would you focus on the task or perhaps think about the team needs? The answer to whether you are a task focused or a people oriented manager can help you to improve and strengthen the weaker areas of your leadership. The grid can naturally be beneficial for organizations as well. If you're looking to hire new personnel or figure out what are the main problems with your current management, you can use the grid and the questionnaire to evaluate your situation. The findings can later be used during the hiring processes. If employees are not happy or productivity is low, you could test the managers to see whether they are applying the wrong type of management styles. You might find that your management ranks in the ineffective leadership style of the grid. Using this information, you can then improve upon management training. The training will be more efficient since you have identified some of the weaknesses. For example, in the case of the ineffective manager, you can teach the person more about the company's vision and objectives as well as develop their interpersonal skills. Now we come to the cons. While the managerial grid is generally great for assessment and analysis, you do need to keep a few things in mind. Although the theory adds to leadership and management theories, it does so with an emphasis on just task versus people. But not all managerial decisions are as clear-cut, and you might not be able to always pick between the two when managing objectives. Management is also influenced by other internal and external variables. The company culture might also differ depending on the nature of the work, and in certain situations, a more task-oriented approach might not be as insufficient as you might assume. The green zone of management, which Black and Morton identified as the sound management, is not necessarily always as easy or even desirable to achieve. There is also a more obvious theoretical criticism. The grid is not based on enough empirical data to suggest managers who are high on task orientation and low on people orientation. As mentioned earlier, even Blake went on to expand on different leadership styles later on, finding the original grid somewhat insufficient. Leadership styles and figuring out which one is the best can be a complex issue. Therefore, while the managerial grid model is definitely a good point to start analyzing your managerial performance, you don't want to rely solely on it when developing leadership skills.